In the NBA, potential is the most expensive currency. We fall in love with the 19-year-old who has the LeBron-like frame or the 7-footer who moves like a wing. We tell ourselves, once he gets a jumper, it's over. Or once he learns to read a double team, he'll be MVP. But what happens when that once never comes? What happens when a player reaches the mountaintop so early, winning Rookie of the Year or making All-NBA teams by age 21, that they convince themselves they've already solved the game? History is littered with the jerseys of superstars who dominated the league with Plan A. But when the league adjusted, they didn't have a Plan B. They were the apex predators of a version of the NBA that no longer exists. And because they refused to evolve, they didn't just decline, they vanished. Today we are looking at the tragic downfalls of NBA stars who stopped growing. From the next Magic Johnson, who forgot how to score, to the Superman who refused to play modern basketball, this is the history of the players who stood still while the world moved on. To understand the tragedy of stagnation, you have to look at the 2009 to 2010 season. A 6'6" point guard named Tyreke Evans did something that only Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James had done before him. He averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists as a rookie. He was a force of nature. He used a devastating crossover and a bull-in-a-china shop driving ability to get to the rim at will. He beat out Stephen Curry for Rookie of the Year. At that moment, if you had a time machine, you'd have bet your life that Tyreke Evans was a future Hall of Famer. But here is the shocking reality. Tyreke Evans' rookie year was the best season he would ever have. As teams realized he had no reliable jump shot, they began to sag off him. They dared him to shoot. In his rookie year, his sheer athleticism allowed him to finish through the crowds. But as the NBA moved toward pace and space, Tyreke's refusal or inability to develop a perimeter game made him a spacing nightmare. He was a ball-dominant guard who couldn't shoot, playing in an era where ball-dominant guards had to shoot. He didn't add a floater. He didn't tighten his handle. He just tried to do the same thing he did in 2009, over and over, until he was no longer a star, just a stat stuffer on bad teams. If Tyreke Evans is a cautionary tale of skill stagnation, Roy Hibbert is the victim of tactical stagnation. In 2013, Roy Hibbert was the LeBron stopper. Standing 7 feet 2 inches, he perfected the rule of verticality, standing at the rim like a stone wall, and forcing the Miami Heat's Big Three to rethink their entire offense. He was a back-to-back all-star. He was the anchor of the league's best defense. And then, almost overnight, he became unplayable. The NBA changed under Hibbert's feet. The Golden State Warriors popularized the small ball revolution. Suddenly, Hibbert wasn't guarding other 7-footers in the post. He was being dragged out to the three-point line to guard 6'7" wings who could shoot. Hibbert's downfall was that he never evolved his mobility or his offensive repertoire. When his rim protection was negated by teams simply shooting over him from 30 feet away, he had nothing else to offer. He couldn't punish smaller players in the post because his footwork remained basic. He couldn't pass out of double teams. He went from an all-star in 2014 to being out of the league by 2017. He was a dinosaur who saw the meteor coming but refused to run. Dwight Howard is a future Hall of Famer, but his downfall from being the undisputed best center in the world to a journeyman is a masterclass in the dangers of ego-driven stagnation. In Orlando, Dwight was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was surrounded by 4 shooters, and his job was simple: roll to the rim, catch lobs, and block shots. He was the most efficient rim runner in history. The tragedy of Dwight's mid-career was his obsession with being Hakeem Olajuwon. Dwight wanted to be a post-up player. He spent summers working with legends, trying to develop a dream shake, but the touch was never there. Analytics showed that a Dwight Howard post-up was one of the least efficient plays in basketball, while a Dwight Howard pick-and-roll was the most dangerous. Coaches like Mike D'Antoni and stars like Kobe Bryant begged him to embrace the pick-and-roll. Dwight refused. He viewed rolling as a role player's job. By the time he got to Houston and Atlanta, the league had moved to a 5-out style. Because Dwight had never developed a 15-foot jumper or the willingness to be a high-post facilitator, he became a black hole on offense. He was still physically gifted, but his game was a relic. It took nearly a decade and a year out of the league for Dwight to finally accept his evolution as a bench specialist for the 2020 Lakers, a role that finally won him a ring, but one that came years after his superstar light had faded. We cannot talk about the lack of evolution without discussing the most polarizing figure in modern basketball, Ben Simmons. Simmons entered the league with a generational tag. He was a 6-foot, 10-inch point guard with elite vision, all-defense perimeter lockdown skills, and a transition game that looked like Magic Johnson on fast forward. Like Tyreke Evans, he won Rookie of the Year. He was an all-star in his first 3 seasons. Every offseason, the cycle was the same. A video would emerge of Ben Simmons hitting threes in an empty gym. The NBA world would whisper, if he even shoots 33% from deep, he's the best player in the world. But when the lights came on, the evolution was non-existent. In an era where even Brook Lopez and Al Horford transformed themselves into three-point threats to survive, Simmons' shooting volume actually decreased. It wasn't just about the three-pointer. It was the total lack of offensive expansion. He didn't develop a post hook to use his size. He didn't develop a mid-range safety shot. He became so afraid of his stagnation, being exposed at the free throw line, that he stopped attacking the rim entirely. The tragic downfall of Ben Simmons isn't a lack of talent. It's the psychological refusal to fail at something new in order to grow. He chose to be a perfect, limited player rather than an imperfect, evolving one. Carmelo Anthony is one of the greatest scorers to ever live. But there was a period between 2017 and 2019 where it looked like Melo's career was over. Why? Because the mid-range ISO was dying. For 15 years, Melo's jab step, rise up was his bread and butter. It worked in Denver. It worked in New York. But when the analytics era took over, that 19-foot contested jumper became the worst shot in basketball. Unlike the others on this list, Melo's story has a silver lining, but the downfall period was real. In Oklahoma City and Houston, Melo struggled because he hadn't spent his prime learning how to be a catch-and-shoot player. He was used to having the ball for 10 seconds. Now he was being asked to touch it for 2. It took being out of the league for a year, the ultimate humbling experience, for Melo to finally evolve. He transformed his body and his mindset, becoming a lethal floor spacer in Portland and Los Angeles. He is the rare example of a star who stopped evolving, felt the tragic consequences, and then forced himself to change before it was too late. Why do these stars stop evolving? It usually comes down to 3 things. 1, early success. When you are an all-star at 20, you believe your way is the right way. 2, the yes men circle. Superstars are often surrounded by people who tell them they are perfect, discouraging them from addressing glaring weaknesses. 3, fear of failure. To learn a new skill, like a jumper or a new post move, you have to be willing to look bad on national TV for a season. Many stars are too proud to let the world see them struggle. In the NBA, you are either getting better or you are getting found out. The league's scouting departments are too good. If you have a hole in your game in year 1, they'll notice. If that hole is still there in year 5, they'll exploit it. If it's still there in year 8, they'll replace you. The history of the NBA is often told through the lens of those who changed, like LeBron James adding a post game, or Steph Curry becoming a master of off-ball movement. But the hidden history is found in the players who couldn't. These tragic downfalls remind us that talent is only the starting line. In a league that evolves every single night, standing still is the same thing as moving backward. Tyreke, Hibbert, Dwight, and Ben, they all had the world in their hands. They just forgot that to keep the world, you have to keep changing with it. What do you think is the biggest what if on this list? Is there a player we missed who refused to change their game? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the stories the mainstream media ignores, make sure to subscribe to NBA's Hidden History and like this video. It helps the channel grow and allows us to keep digging into the archives. See you in the next one.